Homeless boy returned lost wallet to racist billionaire. Next day, he was handed the deed to a skyscraper. The rain came out of nowhere, like some god had tipped over the Milky Way's water bucket, dumping it all over Lagos, this giant West African city. Day turned to night in seconds as black clouds swallowed the sky. Streets became rivers. Car horns, curses, and kids crying all mixed together. People scrambled for cover under awnings, shop doorways, even inside abandoned shipping containers. Under the dripping ledge of a half-built, graffiti-covered bank tower downtown, a skinny figure hunched. Adu. 15 but built like he was 13. His hair stuck to his forehead, face streaked with what could have been rain or mud. He clutched a torn plastic bag holding everything he owned, half a rock hard cassava loaf, a battered copy of Hamlet missing its cover, and a yellowed photo of his mom taped back together a dozen times, smiling under a mango tree. Back in Ibadan, we ring her faded blue dress. Adu was an orphan. His parents died in a cholera outbreak the government ignored when he was 10. His dad fixed railroad tracks, his mom substitute taught at a primary school. They worked hard their whole lives but didn't even get proper death certificates. After the outbreak, relatives picked their house clean, passing Adu around until he wound up on the streets. 3 years of sleeping under bridges, in dumps, in broken-down buses. He survived by collecting plastic bottles, running errands, sometimes minding stalls at night markets for a few naira. But he never stole. Not even when hunger made his vision swim. Now, he shielded the plastic bag with his body, keeping the book and photo dry. He'd fished Hamlet from a university trash bin. Didn't understand half the words, but every night under a street lamp, he'd read it, scribbling lines on walls with chalk he'd found. Knowledge, he believed, was the only thing poor people could carry with them. Then it screech. A silver Mercedes S-Class hydroplaned, tires screaming as it slammed into a concrete divider. Headlights flickered, died. The door flew open. A white man in a tailored gray suit and silk tie jumped out, rain flattening his expensive haircut instantly. Goddamn these roads. This hellhole city, he said in English, face red with rage. Marcus van der Walt. South African mining billionaire. Worth billions. Here for some African Resources Summit. Famous for his arrogance and efficiency. Back home, he fired black miners without blinking. Once told reporters, Africans need whips, not wages. The press called him, the ice-cold mine king. He bent to inspect the bumper, still cursing the city's incompetence. As he turned to get back in, plop. A brown crocodile wallet slid from his inner pocket into a puddle, the current already dragging it away. Adu saw it all. He could've looked away. Who'd blame a street kid for ignoring some rich white man's wallet probably stuffed with euros, dollars, credits cards enough to live on for years? He could vanish, start fresh somewhere. But he didn't. His mother's dying words echoed, Adu, poverty is one thing. Losing your soul is another. We Adiwale people have straight bones. Gritting his teeth, he ridged into the storm. Rain lashed his skin like whips. He stumbled, lunged for the wallet, snatched it up. Soaked, but he pried it open. Wads of USD, South African rand, fancy club memberships, a passport. And one faded photo. A black girl, maybe 7 or 8, grinning in a sunflower field. Around her neck, a tiny silver pendant, Nandi. Zulu for joy. Adu blinked. Why would this white man have a photo of a black child? No time to wonder. He sprinted toward the Mercedes. Van der Walt saw a drenched black kid ridging him and recoiled. Back off, you filthy rat. Don't touch my car. Adu gasped, rain dripping into his eyes. He held up the wallet. Sir, your wallet, it fell in the water. Van der Walt froze, patting his empty pocket. He snatched the wallet, rifling through it. Cash, cards, passport, all there. He exhaled but still GLA read. You chased me through this storm for this. With a sneer, he peeled off a soggy 500 naira note, about 70 cents, and tossed it to the ground. There. Now piss off. Adu looked at the bill dissolving in the rain. Didn't pick it up. Softly, there's a photo inside of a little girl. She looks happy. Van der Walt stiffened, eyes locking onto Adu's. The boy's gaze held no greed, no begging, just quiet, stubborn honesty. You saw that photo? Voice typed out. Yes, sir. Is she your sister? No answer. Van der Walt snapped the wallet shut, climbed into the car, slammed the door. The engine growled to life. In the rear view mirror, that skinny figure, standing in the downpour. Like a baobab sapling refusing to fall. Not bending for the money. Just turning slowly, trudging back to his ledge, curling up again. Van der Walt's hands shook on the wheel. He reopened the wallet, that photo of Nandi. His half-sister. His white mining Tycn father, her Zulu-maid mother. After she was born, the family disowned them. Her mother took her back to some Nigerian village. Van der Walt, desperate to climb South Africa's white elite ladder, had buried that bloodline. Denied her existence. And today, a homeless kid in the rain had reminded him, you have black blood too. Roots you can't erase. As the car vanished into the storm, he closed his eyes, he rang Adu's quiet words again, she looks happy. For the first time in decades, shame burned through him. Under the ledge, Adu broke his cassava loaf in half, giving one piece to a shivering stray dog. It licked his hand, curled up beside him. He opened Hamlet, shielding it with the plastic bag, squinting at the faint street lamplight. Whispered the line he'd rewritten 100 times, to be, or not to be, but more, what kind of man will you choose to be? The rain kept falling. But somewhere in that darkness, something had shifted. The rain stopped, and Lagos slowly woke up from its watery curtain. Streets still flooded, trash and plastic bags floating like homeless islands in the murky water. The sun fought through the clouds, throwing heat and the stink of rot and wet earth into the air. Adu stood up under the awning, shaking out his soaked clothes. He fully opened his plastic bag to check on Hamlet, pages a little curled but still readable. His mom's photo was safe too, though the tape edges were peeling. He smoothed them down like he was touching her face. That 500 naira note still lay in the mud where it had been dropped. A chicken pecked at it twice, then walked off. Adu didn't look back. He tied the bag tight, slung it over his shoulder, and headed Tawa RD Makoko, the floating slum. His home, a patchwork of shacks on stilts above the lagoon, built from scrap metal and oil drums. 1,000 invisible people lived there, all just like him. He needed to get back before high tide, or the cassava and bottled water he'd saved would be ruined. Meanwhile, at the penthouse of Victoria Island's Ocean View 1, Marcus van der Walt stood by floor-to-ceiling windows, ring down at the city. Fresh silk robe, whiskey in hand, but his eyes were empty, fixed on that maze of tin roofs in the distance. He kept flipping Nandi's photo between his fingers, thinking of the boy who'd returned his wallet in the storm. Adu, he muttered the name he'd found on a bookstore receipt tucked behind his passport. Adiwale Adebayo. Purchase, Hamlet. 500 naira. He hit the intercom. James. Sir, his assistant's voice snapped to attention. Find a boy. Adu Adiwale, about 15, homeless. Works NEA, our Lagos University. I want everything: pa rents, where he sleeps, what he eats, who he talks to. You mean the wallet boy? Him exactly. Pay cash, use local contacts, keep it quiet. Yes, sir. Van der Walt opened his laptop, sea urchin Nigeria cholera outbreak 2012. Pages of forgotten news popped up, hundreds dead in Ibadan slums, slow government response. One tiny article, railway worker couple die of cholera, orphan missing. He didn't move for a long time. 3 days later, James brought a thick file and grainy phone footage. Sir, we found him. James lowered his voice. Adu Adiwale. Father Adebayo, Mother Amina both died in the 2012 outbreak. Relatives kicked him out. 3 Rs on the streets, 0 arrests. Survives by recycling scrap, odd jobs. Van der Walt flipped pages, frown deepening. He listens to lectures outside Lagos University at night. Scribbles. Math problems on walls with chalk. A Kenyan professor noticed him, leaves old textbooks out.
Even used geometry to help a coconut vendor redesign his stall. The video showed Adu sorting bottles in a dump. A drunk kicked over his bag, cursing. Adu just picked everything up silently.
Next clip, a shivering stray dog in the rain. Adu took off his only decent jacket to wrap around it, built a shelter from scrap wood. Saved a kid last week, James added.
3-year-old fell into a storm drain. Adu jumped in, got pneumonia.
A priest nursed him back.
Van der Walt's hands trembled.
He remembered a miner crushed in one of his South African pits. His first thought had been minimize lawsuit payouts, not calling an ambulance, but this boy, this nobody, gave his jacket to a dog.
Risked his life for a stranger's child. Returned a wallet full of cash. Studied in garbage dumps. Did he take the 500 naira? No, sir. Street sweepers clear Reddit. Days later. The Czech donated it anonymously to St. Paul's Clinic.
Said fix the roof before rainy season. Van der Walt shut his eyes. His whole life, he'd believed Africa's poor were lazy, corrupt. Yet this boy, with nothing, stood taller than he ever had.
I'll meet him, he said. But not as me.
Meanwhile, in Makoko's floating slum, Adu sat on a warped plank, fiddling with a broken radio fished from the trash. 3 days of work, rusted circuit boa RDS, but he swore it'd play again.
BBC English lessons, maybe. Little kids crowded around.
Adu, can it sing? Asked an 8-year-old girl. Maybe later.
He grinned, biting off a wire. But I'll tell a story. He opened his damp Hamlet. Prince Hamlet's father was murdered. He could have killed his uncle, but first, he needed truth. To these kids, Adu wasn't a beggar, he was the book Wizard. Then the priest arrived, holding an envelope. For you. South African Postma RK. Inside, a bank check for 5 million naira, $6,800 USD. A typed note, you didn't just return a wallet. You returned a man's soul. Keep this small thanks. Silence. 5 million naira. Enough for a real house in Makoko. Food for a decade. Kids screamed, Adu's rich now. Buy shoes. Meet every day. But Adu just read at the check, fingers shaking. His mother's voice whispered, wealth tests character. At dawn, he walked into the clinic and handed it to the priest. Fix the roof. Sick kids need it more. The priest gaped. Keep nothing for yourself. Adu shook his head. I'm alive. They might not be. The priest cried. Wrote about it in the church newsletter. Posted it online. Word spread like wildfire. In Cape Town, Van der Walt read the report through encrypted channels. Holding Nandi's photo, TRS fell without sound. Finally, he understood that boy in the rain wasn't some lucky stray. He was a mirror showing the wasteland. Van der Walt's soul had become. He called his pilot. Prep the jet. Legos. I'm going as Marcus Johnson, retired schoolteacher. Sunlight broke over Lagos Bay. And somewhere in the city, a waterlogged copy of Hamlet lay open on a wooden table, pages turned to one marked passage. Greatness isn't what you own. It's who you choose to be. Lagos mornings always wake up loud. Okada motorcycles weave through narrow alleys, vendors shout over carts piled with mangoes, cassava, and pure water sachets. The Ari food kids sprint through muddy paths, laughter ringing Shah RP in the air. The smell of roasting corn, diesel fumes, and the lagoon's fishy tang all mixed together. Adu was up EARLY, cradling the radio he'd fixed. After 3 days of tinkering, it crackled to life. Scratchy but clear are enough to catch English words. To him, it was magic. He sat on the plank outside his Makoko shack, tuning to BBC Africa. A crisp British voice came through, today's English lesson, integrity means doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Adu leaned in, writing integrity with a chai red stick on the wood, sounding it out. Kids gathered, puzzled. He switched to Yoruba, like when we fixed the clinic roof yesterday, no skipping nails just because it's raining.
They nodded, half getting it. Then the priest hurried over, clutching a thick envelope stamped Cape Town, South Africa.
Adu. Another one.
His voice shook. From that same anonymous sender.
Adu's pulse jumped. The 5 million naira check from 3 days ago was already rebuilding the clinic's roof, bricks hauled, cement mixed. People called it miracle money. He peeled the envelope open. No check this time. Just a printed letter and a photo. Asterisk DEAR Adu, you returned more than a wallet. You gave back my conscience, lost for EARS.
When you donated that check to the clinic, you showed me real wealth is easing others' pain.
This photo is from Zululand, 1985. The girl is Nandi, my sister.
We were torn apart by skin color and bloodlines. I thought money could buy dignity. But you proved dignity is what the poor guard most fiercely.
Take this small thanks.
May it light your path. A man you woke up. Asterisk the photo was the same sunflower field girl from the wallet, but in color now vibrant. Nandi's smile beamed, eyes clear as African dawn.
Adu sta read, silent. Suddenly he understood, that white billionaire wasn't he less. Just crying buried pain.
And he, Adu, had accidentally touched the wound. Father, he whispered, why does a man with billions look so
broken? The priest gazed at the lagoon. Money builds high walls.
But emptiness that seeps through cracks. Meanwhile, in a Cape Town mansion, Marcus van der Walt stood by floor-to-ceiling windows, black coffee in hand. His assistant's report glowed on a tablet, Adu donated check.
Story spreading, church groups, local forums, even indie media, homeless boy turns down fortune to fix clinic. He scrolled comments, asterisk, this is African spirit.
If politicians had half his heart, God bless Adu.
Street kids are heroes too.
Asterisk his chest tightened.
He'd spent decades chasing power, yet never rened respect this pure.
This street rat he'd dismissed owned nothing, but had won a whole community. No more hiding. He called his Nigeria fixer, a former official who owed him favors, launching a covert plan, the Van der Walt African Youth Initiative, STA rooting in Lagos. But his Boa RD would revolt. His son Lucas, the Pa Rudy Boyer, had already sneered about him catching African sentimentality, even threatened to expose his mental decline. So he'd lie. Fake medical reports. Declan read him, suffering severe anxiety/depression.
Doctors ordered remote retreat for mental recovery. He stepped back as citing health. Media exploded, ice cold.
Mine king crumbles under guilt. Yet as they gossiped, he Boa ride his jet, destination, Lagos. New identity, Marcus Johnson, retired high school teacher, education volunteer. No suits.
No body RDS.
Just a faded backpack holding plain shirts and Nandi's photo. 3 days later, Adu spotted the white man again by Lagos University's wall. Khaki pants, worn plaid shirt, scuffed shoes.
Kneeling, chalk in hand, drawing a geometry problem, triangle inscribed in circle. Find angle A.
Adu froze. He'd heard this exact problem on the radio last night. He approached. Sir, you need help. Van der Walt looked up.
Their eyes met. No coldness now. Just a quiet smile. Yes, son. Old man's memory fails. Can you
solve this? Adu took the chalk, sketching auxiliary lines, writing the proof fluidly. Van der Walt's breath caught. The boy's logic was flawless. Your name Adu. You study, no school takes me. But I listen through walls here.
What do you want? Adu gazed at the city skyline. A floating school. For all street kids. Knowledge can't be stolen. Long silence. Then, maybe I could help. Adu shook his head. You already did. That letter proves someone sees us. Van der Walt's throat tightened. He pulled a new notebook and pen from his bag. For you. Words on paper outlast memory. Adu didn't take it.
Why me? Van der Walt spoke slow, deliberate.
Because in a storm, you gave a stranger back his heart. Me took 30 years to Leah or Ennat.
Sunset burned Lagos gold red. Two men from different worlds sat against the university wall, showering cassava bread. On the breeze, the radio's faint whisper, today's word, hope. Lagos at dusk looks like a watercolor painting left out in the rain. The setting sun throws gold over the lagoon, making Makoko's tilted shacks and floating oil drums glow. Kingfires send up smoke that mixes with the smells of grilled fish, cassava porridge, and wet firewood. Kids chase each other across rickety board walks, their laughter cutting through the city's noise. Adu and the white man calling himself Emmaus Johnson sat by a dried-up fountain outside Lagos University. Weeds pushed through cracks in the broken stone. Between them, half a cassava loaf. Adu's pay for helping a market vendor. Mr. Johnson, Adu took a small bite. You're really just a retired teacher. Van der Walt, still hiding his identity, smiled. 30 years teaching math in a Cape Town public school.
Now I want knowledge to live outside classrooms. But your hands. Adu pointed. Not chalk hands. Knuckles thick, palms calloused. Like UVE lifted heavy things.
Van der Walt paused, then chuckled.
Shaw RPIs. Worked the mines young, saved for university.
10 hours a day hauling iron ore.
Hands never recovered. Adu nodded, letting it go.
He pulled Hamlet from his bag, opening
to a marqued page.
You know this, read it too many times. Van der Walt took the book, eyes landing on the underlined line, to be, or not to be. He read it aloud, voice deep and measured.
Hamlet's not choosing life or death. He's asking, do I stay clean in a dirty world? Adu's eyes lit. That's what I thought. Why doesn't he just kill Claudius? Because revenge breeds more revenge.
Van der Walt shut the book, gazing at the city.
Like Africa.
Colonizers left, but corruption stayed.
Wars ended, poverty didn't. If we only fight back, we become what hurt us. Real power builds, doesn't destroy.
Adu was quiet a moment.
My parents died of cholera. Government said outbreak controlled, but hospitals had no clean water. Dad burned with fever. Ambulance broke down. Mom held him, crying. No one came.
Van der Walt's gut twisted. He'd cut water systems at his South African mines to save costs.
After gone by morning.
Relatives.
Took our house, threw me out.
Slept in dumps, got chased by dogs, ate tree bark. But I remember Mom's words, Adu, poverty's one thing. Losing your soul's another. Van der Walt gripped the book.
This boy's poverty wasn't statistics, it was daily choices. Steal bread or sta Irv.
Keep a wallet or return it, and Adu, every time, chose right. You hate them, he asked. The world that abandoned you. Adu looked up. A lone bird crossed the sunset. Hate, he shook his head.
Hate makes people ugly.
I've seen folks turn crueler than those who hurt them. I'll fix things with knowledge, even just one corner.
Like a floating school, so kids don't have to eavesdrop on lessons like me.
Van der Walt inhaled Shaw RPLY, something cracking in his chest. He pulled Nandi's photo from his bag.
My sister. 1985, age 8. Dad was a white mine boss, Mama Zulu maid. Family disowned them. Mom took her back to some Nigerian village. I was 15, pretending.
She didn't exist to fit in with white kids.
Never saw her again. Adu studied the photo. She's happy. Yeah.
Van der Walt's voice roughened.
And I became everything I hated.
Crushed black miners, said jobs were cha-righty.
Mocked African traditions as backway road.
Even denied my own blood.
He swallowed.
That day in the rain, when you returned my wallet, I threw money at you like you were a beg AR.
You didn't take it.
Just said, there's a photo of a little girl, that's when I knew I'd lost more than a wallet.
I'd lost myself.
Adu listened, no judgment. He took out his mother's photo, placing it beside Nandi's. Two faded images, a Zulu girl in sunflowers. A Yoruba woman under a mango tree. Same wa RNTH, same strength.
We're both torn people, Adu said. You by race, me by poverty.
But we're still here, still trying to do right. Isn't that hope? Van der Walt sta read into the boy's clear eyes. His towers of money and power had never felt so flimsy. Days later, Mr. Johnson joined the clinic rebuild. Straw hat, rolled sleeves, hauling bricks with Adu.
Clumsy but determined.
Locals eyed him at first, but his sweat renewed their trust.
The priest whispered to Adu, that man's no teacher. Reads blueprints like an engineer. Talks like a C.
Who is he? Adu shrugged.
Don't know.
But he ca rise pain, same as me. Meanwhile, Van der Walt's foundation plan moved in shadows. Through lawyers, he bought a derelict downtown skyscraper, some politicians' abandoned vanity project, now home to squatters and graffiti. The government had tried selling it for years, tangled in legal weeds.
Van der Walt used offshore shells to grab full ownership under cultural heritage and youth development.
His assistants encrypted Wa Reneng, Boa Road tracking funds.
Lucas threatens press conference foundation misuse.
Van der Walt replied, tell him I'm investing in Africa's real treasure. It's future. One moonlit night, Adugwa ride the clinic site against thieves. Van der Walt brought him tea. Cold used to it.
Adu sipped. Sometimes I wonder if the hospital had been fixed, would my parents be alive? Maybe. Van der Walt sat. But blaming the past won't change tomorrow.
If you had resources, what would you do? Adu looked at the skeletal skyscraper, its outline a sleeping beast in the moonlight. Turn it into a school, he said suddenly.
Up high, kids could see the whole city.
No, they belong to the sky, not the dirt. Van der Walt's breath caught. Moonlight lit the boy's profile, steady, pure, like ancient cave paintings.
Softly, maybe one day, you will. Win ca ride the lagoon's whispers. In that moment, a seed was planted, of redemption. Of legacy. Of a billionaire and a homeless boy growing the same tree. Its name Hope. Lagos rainy season rolled back in. Thick clouds pressed down on the city like lead weights. The air smelled damp, uneasy. Makoko's wooden shacks groaned in the wind.
Kids huddled inside EARLY while women stretched plastic sheets over leaky roofs. Adu stood by the half-built clinic, sta ring at the abandoned skyscraper looming in the distance.
Something didn't feel right. Since Mr. Johnson showed up, things had gotten better.
The clinic's walls were halfway up.
Roofing sheets had arrived.
Van der Walt, though Adu still didn't know his real name, came every dawn to help.
Taught kids math with sticks in the dirt. Even sketched building plans, explaining load ba ring walls in simple terms.
He spoke little, but every word ca right weight. But under the surface trouble was brewing. 3 days ago, a stranger in a Shah RP suit and gold watch approached Adu. Called himself an international Cha righty assessor.
Wanted to dig into Johnson's money trail.
That white old man really just a retired teacher, the man smirked. His hotel bill could feed you for 10 years.
That's cement imported.
Who is he really? What's his game? Adu stayed silent.
He didn't know how to answer.
All he knew was Johnson never talked money, only education, dignity, tomorrow.
When Adu didn't bite, the man's voice turned icy. Kid, don't play dumb. Someone's paying big for info on your benefactor. 5,000 naira for a peek at his passport. Deal. Adu shook his head. Don't know any passport.
The man tossed down a business card, West African Resource Consultancy, Victoria Island address, richest pa-RT of Lagos, and left. That night, Adu told the priest. The old man's face derkeened. That's gang code. They smell money on your white friend. Want to squeeze him dry. But he's not rich, Adu said. They don't believe that. The priest sighed. In Lagos, a white man haunting slums daily either crazy or hiding treasure. They'll stalk till they get something, or burn it all down. Meanwhile, in Cape Town, the storm had already hit. Emergency BOA RD meeting at Van der Walt Manor. Lucas van der Walt, the heir, slammed financial reports on the table, face twisted in rage. Gentlemen, my father is no longer the ice-cold mine king. Some Lagos street rat brainwashed him. He's buying a derelict tower, for what a zoo BOA RD members murmured. One skeptic, Americus never invests without returns. There's strategy here. Lucas snorted. Strategy? He's playing schoolteacher, laying bricks with beg ARS. He tapped the family trust, 50 million USD. This is betrayal. Mental collapse. He punched the table. I demand we trigger family intervention, freeze his assets, force Psycheval, declare him incompetent. Or this empire crumbles. Silence. Van der Walt might have stepped back, but he still held majority Shah res. If Declare read unfit, Lucas took control. Then one director whispered, unless this is his will executing. Everyone froze. Lucas paled. Explain. Check the filings. That Lagos tower purchased under Testament A Re Trust. Paperwork states, upon grantor's demise, full ownership transfers to designated beneficia A Re. Lucas' knuckles whitened. He's faking his death. Back in Makoko, the gangs escalated. One night, Adu returned to find his shack ransacked. Pages torn from Hamlet. His mother's photo trampled. Muddy boot prints everywhere. A note in red ink on the table, last chance. Tell us the white man's secrets. Or you and your school dream burn together. Adu picked up the photo, wiping dirt off gently. Not SCA red, just bone-tired. He knew he couldn't fight the gangs alone. But surrendering that'd endanger Johnson and shatter the community's trust. At dawn, he gathered the kids and teens who studied with him. They want to SCA re us, Adu said by the broken fountain, voice steady. But we're not afraid. We built this clinic. Together. Leah reneged together. They can burn walls, not what's in our heads. A 16-year-old stepped four-way road. I'll stand RD with you, Adu. Me too. My Okada driver cousins can patrol. Even the priest joined. I've alerted the neighborhood watch. Rotating shifts START tonight. Adu looked at them, street kids, jobless youths, single moms. Poor, but unbroken. This was Africa's real power, Ubuntu. I am because we are re. Van der Walt knew the clock was ticking. His private investigators update, gangs tracking him. Lucas plotting in Cape Town. Media sniffing for a secret billionaire charity SCP. No time left. In his hotel room, he pulled up 3D blueprints of the derelict tower. Originally a 10-year project. Now crunch time. He called his lawyer. Activate Phoenix Protocol. Sir, that's war with the Boa Road. I know. Van der Walt's voice didn't waver. Tell them my will's updated. If I die unexpectedly, Lagos project goes entirely to Adu Adiwale. Plus 50 billion naira seed funding for a street youth empowerment hub. The lawyer gasped. You're using a death hoax to protect him, not a hoax. Van der Walt watched rain slash the windows. A rebirth. I've spent a lifetime buying power, loyalty, silence.
Now. I'm buying a future, for Adu. For Africa.
He hung up, placed Nandi's photo on his Kiboe road, then he typed an email to an address Adu Ba Rely used, the one the priest set up for online courses.
Just one line. Dawn. 6 a.m. Bring your book. Meet me at Hope Tower. Answers wait there.
Rain hammered ha writer. Somewhere, church bells rang through the storm. And in the city's shadows, a seed named chaos began to sprout. It would smash the old order. And birth a new dawn. The rain had stopped. Sky shifted from ink black to slate blue, a thin line of dawn glowing over the ocean.
Makoko's shack stood silent, only a few kerosene lamps flickering.
Like sleepless eyes. Adu had been awake for hours. Sitting on the plank outside his shack, gripping Hamlet.
That strange email from last night looped in his head. Dawn. 6 a.m. Bring your book. Meet me at Hope Tower. Answers wait there.
Hope Tower, the name he and Mr. Johnson had joked about for that abandoned skyscraper. No one else knew it. His pulse raced. This wasn't just an email. It felt like a summons. He touched his mother's photo.
Mama.
Will today be different? At exactly 6, book in hand, he stepped onto the muddy path Tower RD downtown. When he turned the final corner, he froze. Pierre in front of the 30-year-old ruin was a black stretch limo stamped with South Africa's flag and a silver crest, Van der Walt Foundation. Men in RK suits clutching folders stood rigid. NEA are the entrance. Among them, the community priest, now in formal robes, face alight with something between joy and awe. Adu. The priest rushed over, voice shaking. You're here. They've waited. Who for me? Adu blinked. The lawyers. Foundation reps. And the priest leaned in. That Mr. Johnson, he's not a teacher. He's. A bespectacled lawyer stepped forward. RD, unrolling a gilded document. Crisp English, by the last will of the late Emeerkus van der Walt, the Hope Tower property is hereby granted in full to Mr. Adu Adiwale. Silence. Adu's eyes widened. The words didn't compute. Granted to me, the lawyer continued, formerly the West African Financial Center abandoned project, now renamed Adiwale Hope Tower. 50 billion naira, $6.8 M USD, endowment for Africa's first street youth empowerment hub, a school, vocational training, clinic, startup incubator, and... He paused. An observatory. Adu's hands trembled. 50 billion a skyscraper. This can't be. He stepped back. I'm a street kid. Don't even have ID. The lawyer smiled. Mr. Van der Walt's words. True legacy isn't for blood heirs, but for hope. Adu Adiwale returned not just a wallet in the rain, but my lost soul. He taught me dignity is priceless, and education, the only wings for the poor. The priest squeezed Adu's hand. It's real, son. Johnson was Van der Walt. To bypass family blocks, he faked terminal illness to gift this through his will. He's in Cape Town now. Waiting for your answer. Adu's mind emptied. Flashbacks, the white billionaire who'd called him filthy beg ar. The retired teacher teaching him geometry in the dirt. Nandi's photo. His mother's dying words. Pieces snapped together. This wasn't charity. It was trust. Not pity, a sacred rg. Suddenly, cheers erupted. Adu. 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 The whole neighborhood had gathered, market women, Okada drivers, street kids, faces lit up with pride. An 8-year-old girl hugged his leg. Adu. We got a school now. Adu's knees hit the ground. Not from the money. Not from shock. Because someone believed a boy who'd slept in dumps could build a tower to the sky. Tars fell on Hamlet's cover. Wind flipped pages to his most scribbled line, to be, or not to be, but I choose to build. Post-ceremony, lawyers let Adu inside. 3 decades of neglect showed crumbling walls, graffiti, rusted beams. But a projector lit up new blueprints, floors 1 to 3, free school. Classrooms from recycled plastic,
walls painted with African myths.
Floors 4 to 5, job training, coding, electrics, carpentry, plus Yoruba weaving, Swahili pottery. Floor 6, clinic with Cuban tele-doctors for the homeless. Floor 7, STA hub, microloans for vendors. Floor 8, observatory. Adu's childhood dream, telescopes for STA gazing. Rooftop, baobabs and sunflowers. For Nandi. For Africa's unbreakable hope. Your call now, the lawyer said. Foundation funds it. You and the community run it. Adu stood on the 88th floor. Ledge, gazing at Lagos. Dawn lit the lagoon. Makoko's shacks floated like islands. He knew from today, he wasn't street kid Adu anymore. He was Hope Tower's keeper. But deeper down, he knew. This tower wasn't his. It belonged to every kid studying in trash piles. To every African who's not a victim, but a giant waking up. He opened Hamlet, writing on the blank first page. 1. Form community council to design each floor. 2. Name, Adiwale Hope Tower, but let everyone call it our tower. Wind swept the rooftop. A stray paper fluttered up, a lawyer's document scrap with Van der Walt's signature. It flew over slums, over the city, Tawa RD the rising sun. Like a bird finally breaking free. 6 a.m. Morning mist still clung to Lagos as Makoko's slums woke to a new sound, not a la RMS or hawkers, but hammers pounding wood in steady rhythm. Thud 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 like African drums calling the city awake. Work STARTS today. Adu stood at Hope Tower's entrance, gripping a new hammer. No longer the boy huddled under awnings, now a leader entrusted with something huge. But this tower wasn't just his. We're not a construction crew. He stood on a makeshift platform facing hundreds, street kids, jobless youth, single moms, retired laborers, even former bullies. We're the Our Tower Building Committee. Cheers erupted. Adu held up blueprints. 88 floors, but you decide how each gets built. What schools teach clinic shifts? Who gets STA help? Your call. He announced 5 teens education crew, teachers and uni volunteers designing lessons. Skill squad, carpenters, electricians, tailors training youth. Medical unit, PA renewing Cuban doctors for basic CA rebuild team, clear ring debris, hauling materials. Kids council, 10 children aged 8 to 14 monitoring safety. Our tower, our rules, Adu said. No bribes. No stolen materials. No leaving anyone behind. Challenges hit fast. Day 1, build team found rusted steel rods and cement sacks in the basement. One guy grinned. Scrap these for cash, could buy AC units. Adu shook his head. Sell these, we sell our souls. Use them to reinforce the foundation. Come on, boss Adu, why suffer? Adu led him to the rooftop, pointing at Makoko's shaky shacks. See those weak bases. Our tower stands a century, or falls with the first storm. STARTS now. The guy nodded, silent. Day 2, bureaucrats came knocking. A city development officer in polished shoes smirked at the site. This is an illegal project. No special permit, shut it down. Adu showed foundation paperwork. Van der Walt Foundation owns this. Supreme Court approved. The officer leaned in. Papers dead. Rules breathe. Want to keep building? Expedited approval fee 5 million naira. Youths clenched fists. Adu stayed calm. We don't pay for breathing rules. But we've got community petitions, journalists, and he pointed to newly installed cameras. 24/7 footage. The officer left, scowling. Day 3, gang attack. 3 masked men tried stealing solar panels at midnight. They didn't expect the build team's night watch, 10 guys with clubs, hiding in shadows. A whistle blew. Chaos. Leading the Cha RG Ezra SCAR, Makoko's once FA red gangster, now swinging a pipe like a bat. You touch our tower, he ROA read. My little sister's gonna study here. Thieves fled. No police were called. Instead, Adu held a community meeting. They didn't steal panels. They stole kids' futures, he said.
From today, all Lagos Lia RNS mess with Hope Tower, you mess with all Makoko.
He launched a neighborhood watch, with SCAR as captain, radios, patrols, direct police hotline. Ezra knelt, choking up.
Adu, I used to beat you up. Now I'll die protecting this place. 1 month in, miracles bloomed. Floors 1 to 3.
Classrooms laid with recycled plastic tiles, bright as African sunsets. Education crew crafted trilingual books, English, Yoruba, Swahili, bound by kids using scrap paper. A blind teacher volunteered, my eyes read DRK, but my ERTCs. Floors 4 to 5, CA Pentry Workshop landed a Lagos University order, 20 lab shelves. Not just teaching skills, the lead CA Penter said.
Teaching how to eat from skills.
Floor 6, Cuban Dr. C.A. Loze arrived with portable ultrasound. Hayar treated 87 homeless patients week 1. In Cuba, healthcare is a right, not a luxury.
The real wonder. Floor 8's observatory. An anonymous donor sent a second-hand telescope. Note, for children who reach for the STARS. Adu taught constellations nightly.
One girl whispered, Adu, do STARS watch us too? Yes, he said.
They see African kids touching the cosmos.
But the rightest battle minds. A Marquette woman begged, my 14-year-old won't stop gaming. Pay him to attend coding class. Adu refused.
Money can't buy knowledge.
But make him a game design assistant, teaching kids to code games. He'll RN by teaching. 3 days later, the boy stood shyly guiding others through scratch animations, eyes lit. Didn't know I could teach, he mumbled. Adu understood now, real empowerment is in handouts. It's sparking the fire poverty tried to smother. One night, alone on the rooftop, Adu opened Hamlet, writing on blank pages.
Day 37, tower rises. So do we. We're not building walls.
We're building staircases to dignity.
Win CA ride kids laughter from the new Courtier Road.
They played shadow puppets against the walls, hands shaping lions, planes, towers.
One boy yelled, Adu. Look.
Hope Tower's shadow. Adu gazed up. The half-built tower stood razor sharp against moonlight, like a sword thrust at the sky. He knew storms weren't over. Corrupt officials, gangs, Van der Walt's family.
Still lurked. But Fiar was gone, because this tower wasn't concrete and steel anymore. It was Makoko's oath. Lagos here beat
Africa's seed, cracking open the soil of tomorrow. The Hope Tower worksite buzzed, hammers banging, kids laughing, foremen shouting measurements. Adu crouched in the 4th floor CA Pentry shop, helping teens assemble bookshelves. Sweat soaked his old t-shirt, but his face glowed like never before.
A white van pulled up quietly outside.
Out stepped a man in faded work pants and a straw hat, shoulders slightly hunched. He ca right a bucket of cement. Tawa RD the mixer rolled up his sleeves, and sta root mixing mud. No one recognized him. Mayorkas van der Walt, the mining TYCN who once ruled Africa's mineral trade, now just Mr. Johnson, another volunteer. He worked clumsily.
Off his soft hands blistered. His back ached from unaccustomed labor.
But he didn't complain, hauling bricks, passing tools, clearing debris. Like any day laborer. Adu spotted him, brought over water.
Mr. Johnson, take a break. Van der Walt shook his head, panting.
I'm slow, but I need to learn how to build with hands, not checks. At lunch, workers gathered in shade. Van der Walt opened his lunchbox, 2 tomato sandwiches, same as everyone. 18 eyed his rough hands. Sir, you were a teacher, why were your poems so tough?
Van der Walt smiled. I was a miner once. Dug iron ore underground in South Africa for 3 years. You got rich after. Why not relax now? Comfort makes men forget the cold below. He gazed. Tawa RD Makoko. You live that cold every day. Adu listened quietly.
Then he pulled out Hamlet, flipped to a Marquette page, and pointed, to redeem is to rebuild. You're rebuilding yourself, he said. Van der Walt's eyes reddened.
A slow nod.
Days later, storm clouds returned. A black SUV screeched into the sight. Lucas van der Walt stormed out, tailored suit, face twisted in rage. Father, have you lost your mind mopping floors for blacks? He grabbed his father's arm, voice shaking. You're head of Van der Walt Group. You belong in Cape Town boardrooms, not slumming with beg ars. Workers froze, fists tightening. Adu stepped four-way road. He's here to help. We're not beg ars. Lucas sneered. Adu Adiwale, a street rat owning a skyscraper that money's family fortune. Father, he scammed you. Van der Walt removed his hat, white hair gleaming. He met his son's eyes, voice quiet but thunderous. I'm not mopping floors. I'm scrubbing my soul clean. Your mother was Zulu, Lucas. Your blood's African, yet you shame it. That's true madness. Lucas stiffened. He'd never heard his father speak like this. I spent 30 years climbing on others' backs, calling it success. Today, lifting bricks beside them, I finally feel human. He pointed at Adu, at the workers. They're poor, but they've got dignity. I was rich and hollow. I'm not here to give charity. I'm here to beg forgiveness. Lucas Sta read at his father's calloused hands, at the tower rising in sunlight, at the unbroken Sta res around him. Suddenly, he felt like the poorest man alive. After a long silence, he whispered, what can I do? Van der Walt clasped his shoulder. Start with I'm sorry. That night, Lucas stayed. He shed his suit for work clothes, clumsily mixing cement. Adu handed him a hard hat. Welcome to our tower. Moonlight painted them, father and son, one caked in dirt, one just leering labor. Behind them, Hope Tower's silhouette pierced the night sky like a lighthouse. Guiding lost souls home. Here's a natural, conversational English version of your story. 3 years later, spring came early to Lagos. Hope Tower wasn't a construction site anymore. It stood tall at 88 floors, solar panels shimmering like wings. On the rooftop garden, sunflowers swayed in the breeze, golden faces smiling down at the city. Today was the grand opening. Red carpets. Cameras flashing. The Lagos mayor, AU youth delegates, UNESCO reps all gathered at the base. Reporters jostled for shots of Africa's first street youth empowerment skyscraper. Then the announcer called, honoring our benefactor, Mr. Marcus van der Walt. The crowd hushed. Van der Walt didn't wear a suit. Just a simple African print robe and wooden cane. Behind him an elderly black woman, hair braided traditionally, face lined but eyes rm. Friends, his voice ride clear, I'm not just here for a building. I'm here to keep a 40-year-old promise. He turned to the woman. Nandi, my sister. Found at last. Gasps exploded. Cameras zoomed in. This was the girl from the sunflower photo, now a retired village teacher from eastern Nigeria. Van der Walt's foundation had tracked her to a remote mountain school. They embraced, TRS. Mixing. I denied you to fit into white society, he choked out. Today, I say loud, my blood belongs to Africa. My redemption sta route when a homeless boy returned my wallet and ends with my sister's smile. Deafening applause. Then, now, the true ERT of Hope Tower. Adu Adiwale. The crowd root. Adu walked up, no longer a scrawny teen but a confident young man in indigo-dyed robes woven by Makoko women. He ride no speech, just that battered Hamlet. Scanning the crowd of street kids, slum dwellers, diplomats, he began softly, people ask how does a dumpster-sleeping orphan own a skyscraper? He opened the book to a handwritten margin note. To be, or not to be, but I choose to build. This tower isn't mine. He pointed to faces in the crowd. It belongs to every kid studying by trash fires. Every mom selling plantains at dawn. Every Okada driver dreaming bigger. It's Ubuntu, I am because we are gesturing to the sunflower. Garden, those aren't just flowers. Their hope, Nandi Auntie's smile, Mr. Van der Walt's change, my stubbornness all seeds. Then the bombshell, sta rooting today, we replicate this. Nairobi. Dares Salam. Accra. 1,000 roaming teachers taking knowledge to every slum. Standing ovation. Van der Walt approached, pressing a gold key into Adu's palm. Not just a building key, he murmured.
The key to tomorrow. As ceremonies ended, rooftop sunflowers blazed like molten gold.
Children sang an old Yoruba hymn Omoai, children of Earth, seeds of time, win ca ride the melody across Lagos Laguna cross Africa a whisper of change. 3 Rs and another rainy season later. Hope Tower wasn't just a Lagos Lanam Ark anymore, its story had spread across Africa like seeds in the wind. In Nairobi's Kibera slum, a new Hope Tower rose. Kids read Hamilton Swahili inside classrooms. On the wall, a mural showed a boy returning. A wallet in the rain, a skyscraper glowing behind him. In Dar es Salaam, jobless youth trained as solar are panel installers. Their instructor said, Adu brother taught us, poor folks' real wealth is time and calloused hands. In Accra, a homeless girl used a zero-interest loan from the STA hub to open a knowledge snack stall, selling cassava cakes with handwritten English vocabulary slips. Feed stomachs, then feed brains, she grinned. And Adu still lived in his Makoko shack. Every dawn, he'd walk 20 minutes to Hope Tower's 8th-floor observatory, teaching the first class. Today, Jupiter. He'd adjust the telescope. Huge, but far. Like dreams. But keep looking up. You'll get closer. Kids took turns gasping at the view. One boy asked, Adu brother, you ever regret being homeless? Adu shook his head. No. The streets showed me truth, some people cruel, some kind. Some steal. Some return. I chose which to be. 1. Afternoon, rain lashed Lagos again. A 10-year-old boy sprinted through downpour, clutching a plastic bag. Inside a SMA earthone he'd found on the curb, screen still lit with a little girl's birthday parody photo. He chased a suited man. Sir! Your phone! The man turned, scowling. Scram, street rat. The boy stood firm. Your daughter's picture is on it. The man froze, taking the phone. Saw his child smile. His face softened. You risked this storm for what money? The boy wiped rain from his eyes. Adu brother says kindness is poor people's gold. I don't want cash. Just remember, someone in the rain helped you. The man's throat tightened. He knelt, draping his jacket over small shoulders. What's your name? Ibrahim. Ibrahim, you just taught a rich man about dignity. As they pas route, he slipped a card into Ibrahim's palm, Hope Tower's Youth Mentor Program application. Dusk. Rain stopped. Adu and van der Walt sat on lagoon. Rocks, watching Hope Tower's lights reflect on the water. You think this is a miracle? Adu asked. Van der Walt chuckled. No. Just seeds. Plant one act of kindness, Africa grows a forest. Salt wind ruffled his white hair. Nandi teaches grandkids now. Lucas builds solar farms in Ghana. And me, I finally say it loud, I'm Africa's son. Adu pulled out his tattered Hamlet, pages yellowed but intact. On the last blank sheet, he wrote, and no story truly ends. Every person who chooses right begins it anew. Night fell. Across the continent, Hope Towers flickered to life, like stars. Like torches. Like countless Adus, lighting the Ark.